Welcome back to Crime Cuisine. Tonight, we deal in cold, solid precision. This is the frozen evidence. The coldest case in our files, a mystery that began in 1948 Odesa. A respected professor was found poisoned in a locked room with no signs of entry, no suspects, and no evidence. The truth was simply impossible to find until 20 years later. The key to this perfect crime wasn't a hidden weapon. It was one single, tiny, priceless object. A fragment of a rare amber signet ring, meticulously concealed inside a traditional Ukrainian Kholodets, meat aspic. One desperate witness used this humble gelatinous dish as the perfect coffin for a confession. How was the evidence hidden in plain sight for 2 decades? And how did an investigator finally crack the case using only the texture of the food? If you crave the chilling blend of classic detective work and the strange satisfaction of a cold meal, you are ready for this case. Don't let the evidence melt away. Subscribe to Crime Cuisine now and join our coldest investigation yet. Fast forward 20 years to 1968. The case was reopened by a young, ambitious investigator, Pavlo Kholodetsky, who noticed one tiny overlooked detail in the original 1948 report. The professor's elderly housekeeper, Marta, had been the last person to serve him a meal. Kholodets. Marta was interrogated in 1948, but her testimony was dismissed. She was too terrified, too incoherent. She only repeated one strange detail. The spoon. The spoon had a scratch. In 1968, Pavlo found Marta, now living quietly in a retirement home. She was calmer, but still guarded. She confessed that she had witnessed the professor's betrayal. Not by a stranger, but by his closest protege, a man named Victor, who had been stealing the professor's research and was the one who administered the poison. Marta, terrified of Victor's power, couldn't speak, but she knew she had to leave a clue. She had to hide the evidence where Victor, a man obsessed with appearances, would never look. Inside the homely, simple Kholodets. Marta explained her desperate plan. She saw Victor administer the poison, a fast-acting chemical designed to look like a heart attack. She knew she had less than 10 minutes before Victor staged the scene. She ran to the kitchen. The professor's final meal was almost ready, a bowl of freshly prepared, still liquid Kholodets awaiting refrigeration. The key piece of evidence that proved Victor's motive was a tiny fragment of an amber signet ring, a piece of evidence that Serhi had accidentally crushed during a struggle with Victor moments before the poisoning. The fragment was still on the floor, unnoticed. Marta, thinking fast, picked up the tiny piece of amber. She ran to the kitchen, dropped the fragment into the warm gelatinous liquid of the Kholodets, and placed the bowl in the cold pantry. The amber, heavier than the meat, sank rapidly to the bottom of the bowl and was immediately sealed by the quickly gelling aspic. The Kholodets, once set, became a solid block, perfectly encasing the evidence. Marta had created the frozen evidence. When the original police searched the house, they looked for notes, weapons, and prints. They did not look for evidence inside a meal. Victor himself ate the Kholodets the next day to remove any potential trace of the poison, believing he had destroyed the evidence. But he had missed one vital detail: the weight of the amber fragment. The tiny fragment, sinking to the very bottom, had caused the slightest indentation on the inside of the ceramic bowl before the jelly fully hardened. When Marta served Victor the Kholodets, she had intentionally left the amber fragment out of his portion, scraping her own serving bowl with the spoon to feel the indentation, a small physical confirmation that the evidence was safe. That scraping sound was what the terrified Marta remembered in 1948.
The scratch on the spoon was the indentation of the amber in the bowl. Pavlo found the original ceramic bowl now stored in the attic. He scraped the bottom and, using forensic powder, revealed the almost imperceptible ring-shaped micro-indentation, proof that a solid object had rested there before the Aspic set. Pavlo had the evidence. Now he needed the proof. He contacted the original forensic team and requested the Kholodets bowl that Victor had eaten from. It was long gone, but the recipe card for that specific batch, saved by Marta, was in the file. Pavlo tracked down Victor, now a respected academic. Pavlo did not confront him with the micro-indentation. Instead, he simply presented him with a freshly made bowl of Kholodets using Marta's recipe. "Professor, I believe the answer to Sirhi's death lies in the precision of this dish." When Pavlo cut into the Kholodets, he sliced the jelly carefully. He pointed to the specific texture of the cut. The clarity of the aspic requires exact temperature control. Any foreign body would cause a clouding or a bubble trail. The pressure broke Victor. The memory of the chilling silence of the Kholodets, the knowledge that the evidence had been sealed in his food, overwhelmed him. He confessed to the poisoning and the theft of the research, believing he had gotten away with the perfect cold crime. The fragment of amber, the tiny piece of the signet ring, was finally retrieved. It was the perfect proof. Marta, the courageous housekeeper, proved that courage doesn't require a loud voice or a weapon. Sometimes the most powerful truth can be preserved in silence, sealed away in the most ordinary of household dishes. The Kholodets remains a symbol of stability, but also a chilling reminder that the truth, no matter how deeply buried, will eventually be brought out into the light. Thank you for joining us on Crime Cuisine. The truth is in the taste. What other secrets are waiting for us in the freezer? Subscribe now to Crime Cuisine and join us for the next chilling investigation.